This is the Owl of Wisdom. Like and subscribe for 10 years of good luck. If you don't, it won't be pretty. Serious, what disturbing thing did you learn about someone only after their death? Attention, serious, tag notice. Jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment, parent, or child. Parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour, and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I'm a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. My great-grandfather had a whole other wife with 7 children he told no one about. Edit, if you're descended from a large Hastings or Brown family from Lancashire, let me know lol. Not really disturbing, but I found a restraining order against my mom banning her from entering our local grocery store. I will never know that story. My father-in-law had a secret love child. We are not even sure he knew about them. He has been dead for 11 years. We found out about this person 2 years ago. I received a phone call from my late husband's girlfriend the day of his funeral. She was phoning his cell phone, which I had turned off while he was in the hospital. She told me that my husband had been paying her rent for the last year. The bank had recently foreclosed on our house. I had no idea he was unfaithful to me, but she knew all about me. Apparently this story is not uncommon. Brother-in-law's best friend rang him distraught after going through his recently deceased, much older sister's papers. He had discovered that she wasn't his sister as he had thought for the last 70 years. She was his mother. Usual story, teenage pregnancy, went to a convent to have the baby, gave it to mum to bring up. He apparently had a good relationship with her, and he was upset because she couldn't tell him the truth. My uncle had a son he never told us about for 25 years. I had a brother who had some paranoid delusions, FBI, CIA following him, spying on his apartment, etc. We, my brothers and I, had tried to get him help, and he would just have no part of it. After a few years, it seemed like it had gotten better. He stopped bringing it up, and we felt like it must have just passed. After he died, we found his journal, and it was just horrifying. Right up until the night he died, he detailed all of the torture that they were inflicting on him. Weird shit that I can't even write in here. It was just incredibly disturbing to read what a tortured life he was living inside his mind, while acting relatively normal outside. When my great-grandmother died, my grandma introduced her half-sister to the family. Apparently my great-grandpa had an affair. The funny thing is that she went to school with my grandma. No one wanted to tell my great-grandma though. My Bill died in an accident, and his wife found out by going through his phone that he was sleeping with several other women. Many of whom were pretty close in our friend group, and some were also married. It was quite awkward and got pretty messy. My great-grandmother killed her husband when she was blacked out from alcohol. After my grandfather's death, we were cleaning out his old house, and I found an envelope with paperwork that basically said my dad had died by suicide. I had been told as a kid that it was a heart attack. It was a shitty way to find out the truth. I once had a friend whose dad died, and he never really talked about it, but he was pretty troubled. Every year on his death date, they would have a celebration of life party. He invited our friend group one year, and we were all excited to be there to support him. Turns out his dad died in a car accident involving a drunk driver. The dad was the drunk driver and also killed the family he hit. My grandpa had stashed what would be worth millions today and proceeded to convince his family they were poor and had almost no money. His family lived in poverty while he lied to them all. This happened just today. News story was published about an outlaw bikie gang boss who was shot in the head. Turns out it was a relative of mine and nobody in my family knew he was the leader of an organized crime gang until today. That my grandfather molested my mom when she was a child. It started after my grandmother died and ended after he found someone else. I was pretty shocked, especially since my mom didn't seem to carry any kind of baggage from it, though of course I don't know what went and still goes on in her head. Something that made sense though was how she always made sure my brother and I were either in her room to sleep whenever we stayed at grandpa's place, which wasn't too often, or in the room next to hers. We were never alone with my grandfather, and we never had a warm or loving relationship with him. He was cold to us, and we never really got attached to him, and we visited him maybe once a year. I think my mom felt obligated to have a relationship with him for some reason, but she was always very protective of us, and my brother and I were never victims of his. That for the first few months my mother was pregnant with me, the entire family thought she was dying from an ovarian tumor. She was 41, and it was the 1960s. Her doctor at the Navy hospital just assumed she was too old to get pregnant. I had a great aunt and great uncle who were full-time missionaries in Africa. After they died, 3 of their grandchildren finally felt safe enough to share that my great aunt and uncle had molested them. It's disturbing in a way. My great grandmother went into the military after committing a crime, and in the military she confessed to a judge who punished her by extending her military contract and forcing her to serve in the war. I never knew what happened until way after she died, and I had asked my dad about it. There was a pedophile in her neighborhood who was touching kids, and he was going after boys. My mama mutilated his wank and beat the crap out of him when she saw him try to lift 2 boys. My buddy's mom totally killed my buddy's dad. She had taken a $200k life insurance policy out on him 6 months before he died, and he died from not taking his medication that he'd taken no problem all of his life. My buddy was away for the weekend so wasn't home when his dad died. After his mom died, we found out she'd taken a life insurance policy out on my buddy at some point too, and she'd also forged his signature to sign over $100k my buddy's dad had left to him. She also faked illnesses to get prescription drugs and had little books filled with info on what she'd sold and how much she'd made from selling them. An old rich man my mom used to run errands for not only offered her $5,000 to sleep with him, but he also told her he couldn't wait till I was 18. I was younger than 12 at the time, and tried to make an arrangement to pay for my presence once I was 18. I went through a nasty breakup with my oldest kid's mom that lasted several years. We were never married, and she was crazy as hell, so she told the hospital she didn't know our kid's father, just so she could have leverage over me. You know, like a sane person does. Years later and after several investigations into child abuse, she lost custody. Over the next several years we kept getting oddly specific complaints about things going on in my house and my daughter and her stepmom specifically. Dumb shit like matching clothes, or details about how we do timeout. My mom died 2 years ago, and when we switched her Facebook to memorial mode I saw that she had been talking bad about me for years to my ex, and was essentially spying on me for her and twisting information. I'm guessing it's because she felt bad for a mother that lost her kid, but it was still a dick move. It's been 2 years, and I still refuse to visit her grave with my siblings and haven't shed a tear for her since. One of my best friends died suddenly and clearly didn't have a chance to clean up his affairs beforehand. He had little family, so the group of friends handled everything. We found child porn in his house. Not just a few pieces or somehow accidental. It was in a file cabinet with folders and sorted by ages, sex, etc. Changed everything. That's simply not acceptable. Edit. Unacceptable sounds like an understatement, but it was actually the other way. It was just nope. No excuses, no trying to understand, no worries about his family or their reputations or his or anything, no anything. It was instantly done and over, and he was labeled with the scarlet letter. We called the police in a matter of seconds. I literally puked that night over it. So my neighbor sadly committed suicide 2 years ago, and from what I had always seen, was that she was really happy and positive and nice. But apparently she had attempted over 10 times to commit suicide. So that was really sad. Family friend that passed was having sex with young male prostitutes, had his wife hooked on drugs that he provided with his doctor's license, and had spent all of their money, even though they had been rich, so that they were destitute, and his wife and kids had no idea. She lost the house a month after he died unexpectedly. She and her kids are doing fine now. She's recovered and remarried. That they didn't die when we thought. Here's the deal. My mom was raised by her mom, now 92, and an evil old bat, and her stepfather, who molested her. Where was dad? Died when she was 11, allegedly. That's what my grandmother said. This would have been around 1961. Flash forward to 2015 and my sister is doing genealogy work on the family. Finds out not only did my biological grandfather not die in 1961, he died in 2005. And had 5 more daughters, one of which he gave the same name as my mom. So my mom got cheated out of a potential relationship with her dad by her liar of a mom, who moved and remained hidden from her ex, my mom's real dad. My grandmother moved down to Texas from Virginia to stay in a nursing home and basically make my mom and dad's life hell. We went to visit one weekend and she came over for dinner. And I dropped the bomb on her that we'd figured out she'd been full of shit for 50 years. She then had the nerve to act offended. My dad told her to STFU. My uncle on my mom's side went missing around January 7th, 2000. When my cousin Adrian went looking for him, he found him in his closet with a belt around his neck. After that everyone pieced together, based on weird conversations and his behavior, that it was my uncle who had set fire to my family's apartment's front door about a week prior, December 30th, 1999. That fire left my family psychologically and physically scarred, and my mother dead. Apparently my parents were fed up with giving him booze and smokes money. That not only did grandfather physically, emotionally, and sexually abuse me, but also my mother and 2 aunts. And my grandmother knew the whole time, and had been confronted by all of them about it, and she did nothing. I still can't look at her the same to this day. He's dead, but the memories aren't, and she refuses to talk about it to this day. My grandpa was one strict, by the book son of a bitch, but after he died, we found a bunch of weed in his closet. Not really disturbing, but definitely raised some questions. When my great-oma passed away last year we found a photo album she had hidden in a closet that was full of photos from WWII. We don't know for sure, because she never talked about it, but from the photos it looked like my great-opa was an artsy and they lived quite the lavish life during the war. It caused a bit of a rift in the family but still, we don't know the actual facts. We do know that my great-opa was captured in France, and when the war ended they came to Canada. Neither of them ever talked about the details. Edit, on mobile. So sorry if the format is terrible. Wow, I did not expect this to gain so much attention. My mom and I tried googling my great-opa's name, although we suspect he changed it when coming over. We found records of his brother who died in battle but none of him. They had a popular last name as well. My oma, great-oma's only kid, doesn't even know much about her parents before they came to Canada. She was 4 or 5 when they came over and doesn't remember, and was told never mind when asked. As someone who loves history I found it very interesting. For all we know they could have been forced into joining. Although my mom feels that they both supported the Nazi party just from what she remembers of their personality and the odd comments they would say. I wish I had more answers for people and myself, but I loved reading through everyone's comments or the stories. My grandparents were horrible to my mom. telling her she deserved other kids hitting her or not believing her when it happened, telling her good, I'm sick of you anyway, when she threatened to run away, physical abuse, spending as little money as possible on her, never showing any kind of affection, etc. I never knew them that well, and I'm kinda glad for it tbh. My grandfather passed away last spring. Found out he'd been verbally and sometimes physically abusive to his 4 sons, and verbally abusive to my grandmother their whole marriage. My grandmother had been making plans to leave him with my father and uncle's help when he fell and broke his back, so she stayed with him until he passed a few months later. All of this was hidden from myself and the rest of the grandkids. My mom quietly told me a few days after the funeral. I'm concerned she only told me cause my father may be doing the same to her, but she denied it when I asked. My mum's uncle stole my grandfather's gun and killed himself. Afterward they found out that he had been hiding in his ex-wife's bathroom for hours waiting to kill her and their kids, but gave up because they took so long to come home. They were pretty messed up after that and never really recovered. One of my good friends was shot last year. He was one of the nicest guys I knew. He always calls everyone he knew, checked up on them, made sure everyone was okay, and was really supportive of everyone. Moved forward a week or 2 after his murder, someone was arrested due to a murder that happened a few days before my friends. Turns out the guy who was arrested was the cause of multiple murders, yet he had perfect alibis, everything. Except we later found out that my friend was working for him, was getting paid 5-10k per person. When my friend got murdered, it wasn't a random shooting, it was a revenge hit. No one saw it coming, but everything soon made sense. Thanks for watching the Chronicles of Reddit. Like and subscribe for a marvelous life of adventure.